Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and data accuracy. So, as we see with many regulations around the world, for me, one of the most interesting facets of certain data privacy regulations, probably maybe I'm the only person who thinks that this is really interesting, and it is something, for example, like this in the GDPR in Europe, and this is about accuracy. So the reason why accuracy is important in data privacy regulations is because a lot of the data that's collected about people without their knowledge or consent is done because there may not be a requirement for organizations to gather or find out whether information is accurate or not. So whether data about an individual or inferences for that matter are created about someone and sold to someone else, it doesn't necessarily have to be accurate. And right now, whoever it is, marketers or even companies creating risk models, they may be creating these models based on inaccurate information. Although marketing companies or companies that sell advertising get paid for it, whether it's accurate or not. So I think it is, I would love to see more data privacy laws put accuracy into, the requirements, because if privacy regulations have stipulations in it that the data that companies create or gather about people be accurate, it will force more transparency. So you don't know whether the data is accurate or not unless you check with the individual. So the individual can be able to glean what that is. Also, I think it takes the responsibility away from the individual and puts it on the data holder. So as opposed to saying, a company can hold inaccurate data and then me as an individual, is my responsibility to chase them and have them correct it. The GDPR kind of flipped the script, so to speak, and said, hey, if you collect this data, you have to put the onus on yourself to make sure this data is accurate. So it's sort of forcing that transparency. It also brings the individual into the process. One of the big issues with third-party data sharing without the consent of individuals and data sharing where people don't know what's happening is because they don't know what's happening. So bringing the individual into the process definitely makes that process easier. And then also, I think that organizations that want to use data and leverage it to make insights, they'll have better quality data. So right now, they're collecting a lot of data. It may not be accurate data, it may not be good data. So being able to have better quality in data, I think, is also one other advantage to adding accuracy into data privacy regulations going forward. So it remains to be seen how this will happen in the future. One example I like to give about this, and this is around kind of credit rating agencies. So credit is like, for example, if a credit rating agency has incorrect information about you, it's your responsibility as a consumer to chase them down and try to get them to make that correction, where again, something like the GDPR sort of flips that to the company and says, okay, if you are going to have this data, you're going to be the data steward. It's your responsibility to make sure this data is correct. And I think that would just change everything in terms of data privacy regulations, because you have to have transparency. You have to bring the person into the loop. And also, organizations who have good relationships with people, they will benefit from better data quality. So thank you so much.